Our first video dealing with our machine sewing project is going to talk a little bit about how to work with and deal with a commercial sewing pattern. When we teach this class in person, we don't often use a commercial sewing pattern. We tend to do a quilting project. That's a little harder to talk through at a distance, and so we decided to focus our project on reading a commercial pattern, and this is actually a really good skill to have. Commercial patterns are made to make our lives easier, and they do, but they can seem a little confusing if this is your first time picking one up. So let's take a look at it for a minute. This is a pattern that is for a tote bag, which is what you're going to be making for your project. We've sent you fabric and a variety of things that you need for that. So taking a look at your pattern, what a pattern will show on the front is the different kinds of patterns that are available inside the package. That's one of the things that can make a pattern so confusing, right? This one has this bag A that you can make, and then it has this slightly larger bag B that you can make. If you think about some of the commercial patterns you may have seen, some of them will have a couple of blouses and some skirts. Some of them will have a variety of different kinds of items in them. So that can lead to some confusion once you get into the pattern, as you're going to see here in a minute. What we are going to do as a class is we're actually going to do view B. We're not going to do this sort of decorative patchwork on the front by machine right off the bat. If later on you want to do that, you can certainly go back in, decorate your bag however you want, but we're just going to make the base bag with the pockets on it, and that's it for this project, because as you've seen on the syllabus, our time is a little tight. Okay, so it has view A and view B. We are doing view B. So sometimes what you'll see us do here in the shop is we'll actually circle that or make note of what view we're doing when we hand it off to a student. So we're going to put a little asterisk by view B. Okay, if you turn over the back of your pattern, on the back of it, it tells you over in two different languages, several different languages sometimes. That's another thing that can be confusing, is that patterns are made for a global market. And so some of them, like Berta, will have their instructions in many different languages. Here in the United States, they tend to gear toward the US and Canada, and so we tend to have them in English and French. And so the back of this has your list of what supplies you need for your bag, okay? It tells you what fabrics work best for your whatever your project is. That's important to pay attention to if you're doing a project on your own. It'll say things like unsuitable for obvious diagonals. Unless you want it kind of crazy looking. It can be hard on something like this to match stripes and plaids and obvious diagonals. It gives you information like with nap or without nap. A fabric like a velvet, if you think about some of those, probably the way most of us come in contact with velvet is like in upholstery, and if you rub it one direction, it looks one way, and you rub it another direction, it looks a different way. That's called a nap. And all of your nap has to face the right direction. This gives you how much fabric you need for each view, which is important because if you're making your purchases of your fabric, you want to know how much you need. And it gives you that information for both views, view A, which was the smaller bag, and view B. Okay, again, we're doing view B, and we've included everything that you need, including your sew-in interfacing. Okay. It also tells you notions that you need. For this, for A, it has a hard bottom in it, and we're not doing that. So you're not going to need that cardboard or plastic canvas or any of that. well, you will for B. That's for the bottom of the bag. We'll talk about that when we get to it. Okay? All right. So then take a look inside your pattern. And this is where it can get a little baffling as well. Pattern instructions always give you, again, sort of a view of what your pattern options are. They also give you the numbers of pattern pieces that you need to make each view. Okay? It gives you some language definitions, what it means if it says to use a single thickness, a double thickness. It talks to you about grain line, which we'll talk about when we do our cutting. It talks with you about what the fold line means. Basically, this is like a dictionary of the terms that they use. Okay? Then it gives you information on how to lay your pattern pieces out on your fabric. Okay? And we'll talk you through that in a video. But if you're working on a project on your own, this can be really helpful because they usually lay it out in a way that is very conservative. Okay? One of the other things that it tells you in this initial information is how much seam allowance is included. These bag patterns include a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay? Many commercial patterns use 5/8 inch seam allowance, and some use only 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So it's really important that you make note of this information in your instructions. Again, there's a little bit more of a glossary. This is the sort of talking you through the language that is happening on your paper pattern pieces. This is a glossary for the instructions, which are the next part in your instruction insert. Okay, and then it talks about how to put the item together. Okay, so that's sort of just an overview of what happens inside your pattern package. Okay, what you want to do for your first step, as I said, we're doing view B. Okay, down here it gives you what pieces you need to cut out of your pattern, which is in here. These are your pattern pieces. It's out of this thin paper. Okay. Open that up and show you how that is. And you can see that there are a variety of pattern pieces in here. And this paper is incredibly thin. It's actually quite fragile. You might want to have some Scotch tape, like a transparent tape, available to you in case you have a little tear or something. It happens, okay? But each of these pattern pieces has a number on it, okay? And the dark lines on the pattern pieces are the lines that you cut, okay? So the first thing that I frequently do when I get a commercial pattern is I take a look down this list and I begin to note which pattern pieces I need to make this item, because those are probably going to be the only ones I'm going to cut out. If I don't need to cut out all of these pieces, I'm not going to cut out all of these pieces, okay? So let's look and see what we need for pattern pieces for view B, okay? So this is for tote A and B. Front and back for A is number 1. You don't need that. Pocket for A, you don't need that. Basically, you don't need anything all the way down to number 7, okay? These patches, remember I said we're not going to do the patches on this at this point. So you don't need the patch patterns for view B. What you do need is you need this pocket for view B. That's number 13. I'm going to put a little mark beside number 13. I do need the front for view B. I'm going to put a mark next to number 14. I don't need the gusset for A. I need the strap that is the strap for both pattern A and B. That's number 16. Okay. I need the gusset for view B, which is number 17. I need front and back for view B, which is number 18. And I need this other pocket for view B, which is number 19. Okay, so I need 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, and 19 in order to make the view that I want. I'm going to look back over my list, double check. Yep, that's for A. I don't need the patch. I don't need the patch. Don't need the patch. Don't need any of these, and I don't need that gusset. So those are what I need. Okay, then you can take a look at your pattern pieces and you can figure out what you need. Okay, I need piece number 13. So I'm going to cut that one out. I need, that looks like the only piece that I need off of this. Nope, I need number 16. The strap is on this one. Okay. What else is on this one? 15 is the gusset for A. I don't need that. As you can see, there is a lot of paper in these things. Okay, so I need number 19, which is the pocket for B. I need number 17, which is the gusset for B. Okay, so you want to look at your pattern, go through, and cut out all of your pieces, okay, that you're going to need. You should, at the end of that, have 6 different pattern pieces cut from this, okay? Once you have done that, I will meet you back and we will begin laying the patterns out on our fabric, okay? Great. The other thing to remember, use those lightweight fabric scissors for cutting out your pattern pieces, because you don't want to use, even on this lightweight paper, you don't want to use your fabric scissors. Okay? Excellent. See you in a little bit.